All right, time to talk classic Doctor Who again. So we said goodbye to the second Doctor in the last video, which is a fantastic send-off for a Doctor in the War Games. Probably it is one of the best. I guess Peter Davison's send-off is up there too. But when when you're sending off your Doctor, you need to give him a really great adventure, and they certainly succeeded in that. So we're on to Jon Pertwee now. At the end of the second Doctor, we didn't see who the new Doctor would be. We saw him begin to change, and it fades to black. And so now we open with a brand new series of Doctor Who in bright color. And for the first adventure for Pertwee's Doctor, we get it on film in its entirety. And a lot of Doctor Who was shot for the outside scenes and location shots to be on film, whereas interior shots and studio shots were video. It's unfortunate that they couldn't have just kept it all on film for a variety of reasons, especially when remastering and updating and stuff. Film is much more better to do that with, but it's also expensive. So that's the way it is. That's the way it goes. There were all the Pertwee adventures are intact and complete, more or less, for people to view. They had to restore some of them because only a black and white print for some, when they had these clever means by which you could glean the color even from black and white prints, which is very fascinating. There's videos you can search for to discuss it, and of course extras on the DVDs and Blu-rays and what have you, about how they restored some episodes of Pertwee. But all in all, the Pertwee episodes are not lost in their entirety the way it is for poor Hartnell and Troughton, unfortunately. So we have complete Pertwee adventures. Sadly, I don't have all of them, so I'll do what I can, covering what I have in my collection. So, right off the bat, the first adventure for the third Doctor is Spearhead from Space, which introduces the Autons, which are basically evil mannequins. That's not the entire thing. I mean, they can infiltrate anything of plastic and this sort of thing. Another race that is bent on invading the Earth and taking it over, from a race called the Nestines. And so here we have the plot that's already underway as the Doctor arrives. Now, coincidence? Well, the Time Lords were sending him over there in his exile. But I think it's not too far to think that the Time Lords are already now manipulating the Doctor to do good deeds. And this was the argument the second Doctor made on his trial, that yes, he violated the Gallifreyan and Time Lord laws, but he was doing it for good reason, and there was quite a few menaces that he averted, destruction and all that sort of thing, and they had to take that in consideration. They said, well, he's got a point. And so they don't just put him in exile, but they put him in a place where he can continue to do good works. And of course, they'll make use of the Doctor as we go forward. And I've always said it's not out of the, it's not too far-fetched to suggest that perhaps there was some Time Lord manipulation going on even earlier than that. But it's not really on screen or anything. But the idea the Doctor just happens to always show up right when there's some nefarious plot going on. But anyway, here the TARDIS arrives rather abruptly, and we see the new Doctor stumble out and collapse. He's still recovering from the regeneration process, and yes, he's still wearing the outfit of Troughton, which, boy, how's that possible? Pertwee is a much taller man than Patrick Troughton. I know Patrick Troughton's outfit was kind of baggy on him, to give him that cosmic hobo look, like the clothes didn't really fit. But, boy, I mean, he's really stretching them out. So, and there's aspects here. So he's recovering from the regeneration. It takes him a while. And like always, he's not happy with how he looks at first. But then he's like, well, I don't know. And then, of course, that's typical of a new Doctor. He's still in between there. And then they always come into their own and become to believe that, no, I'm now at my best. This is the best incarnation and stuff like that. So Of course, now we have Unit fully realized here, and the Brigadier is on hand. He doesn't recognize this strange man, but he's like, well, I know he's an alien, so, so he begins to realize that, yes, he can change his appearance as well as the personality. Because right off the bat, even though the Doctor is at first kind of delighted to see him, but at the same time, there's conflict between them. The personality has altered, and he's not as nice to the Brigadier as the second Doctor was, and certainly doesn't like taking orders from the Brigadier, even though technically that's his boss now. And so there we go. Now we were introduced to the new companion, who is a companion just out of circumstance, and Liz Shaw. Liz Shaw was to be the scientific advisor for Unit. We already see the Brigadier is trying to recruit her for these missions and trying to convince her that, yes, there are alien threats. He's already seen two. She's kind of laughing it off and everything. Well, after this adventure, I guess she's not laughing as much as before. But so there she is, and she's actually more of a serious character. She's not the damsel in distress character, although that can happen from time to time. But ultimately, when she leaves, it's like the typical, it's like, well, I came to be the scientific advisor, but I'm just, you know, the assistant to the scientific advisor, which is, of course, the Doctor, who the Brigadier really wanted for the job, and then he just falls in his lap here. So there you go. The TARDIS doesn't work because the Time Lords have grounded it, and the Doctor tries to take off, but he can't, and there's smoke coming out of it and everything. Now, interestingly enough, they when the Brigadier becomes suspicious that this man is the Doctor, they mentioned that, oh, we found him unconscious lying next to a police box. A police box? Now, I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess maybe was the Brigadier did see, but the TARDIS was invisible when the second Doctor left at the end of Invasion. I don't know. Did he see it in the Web of Fear? I'm already blanking on that, so I'm not sure. But I can't remember if he saw it. But anyway, let's just say he did. It's the only way, you know, he understands that there's something weird about this police box. And it establishes that the key doesn't work unless the Doctor, allows it to work for you. So the Brigadier can't open it even though he had the key. And there's also a scene where the Doctor's recovering in the hospital, and he keeps asking for his shoes, and what's in his shoes? His spare TARDIS key, which they repeat when Tom Baker comes on. He's looking for the key, and he goes, oh yeah, and he grabs his shoes, and there it is. So that's all well and good. The Autons, of course, as I said before, basically an alien invasion, and they decided to take over this doll factory for their nefarious plot. Also, they make use of Madame Tussauds, wax museum of, famous people, wax replicas, and they intend to replace one of the top generals in the British military with one of their own, with a wax facsimile, and he's really an Auton. And so they do that, but then the Doctor overcomes that, of course. It looks great. The color is very vibrant, of course, and with the film, a great introduction. It's kind of a letdown when they go back to the basic cheap standards, but what are you going to do? It's either that or nothing. So the only thing that gets kind of cheesy is towards the end where the Doctor gets attacked by these giant tentacles that, but what are you going to do? Fortunately, it's quick. And actually, Liz Shaw saves the Doctor. So there's a lot of attacks saying that the show was not kind to women. That's a bit of an exaggeration. From time to time, you can sort of make the case here and there, but certainly not in the case here. And I suppose like when Joe Grant comes on, and she's the polar opposite of Liz Shaw because she doesn't really know anything. But Joe Grant's one of the favorite companions. And so anyway, a great introduction for the Doctor, and one of the best scenes of the Doctor's outfit. How does he get it? Well, he just finds it, and also almost a complete nude scene for the Doctor, as he quickly hops into a shower to hide from some other physicians at the hospital, And he's in there, so they try not to look at the guy. He's nude, showering, and they call in the specialist to come look at him. And he, I guess, was called out from attending the opera or whatever, and he's all in the fancy dress, and he hangs his cloak up and his hat and all that, and the doctor just takes that along with the ruffled shirt and assembles his outfit, and just through that, I guess, he becomes attached to the style. Now, it's interesting to note that a lot of these later days, they think the doctor just has to wear the same outfit every day, and that comes out of the John Nathan Turner era in the 80s, where it literally did become too much of a costume. Of course, everything in theater is costuming, but when it's too much, it's a bit distracting because it becomes silly and ridiculous. And even though I like this version of the Third Doctor's outfit, it's all flashy and stuff, and the cape and everything. He looks like the Shadow, but he just maintains the style of the ruffled shirt and that sort of thing, and is allowed to change his clothes, like a normal person. So there's different versions of it. Doesn't always have the cape and all that, and so it makes sense, and that's just the style he adapts for himself as he's still forming himself in that moment. There's even a point where one of the unit soldiers accidentally shoot the doctor, but they say, it just grazed his head. It might have been interesting to suggest that he was still regenerating, so maybe they did shoot him in the head, and it just looks like a graze now because he's still regenerating, and he was able to recover from that. But anyway, little interesting things there. And so this was the first introduction of the Autons, and it's all creepy. Quite a few of the Autons walking around in these blue jumpsuits. It reminded me of Michael Myers from Halloween, because they're very creepy looking, and you see that coming at you, and then all of a sudden his hand opens up and there's a gun in it. So really creepy looking guys, and then of course the spooky guys in control of it and everything. Well, one really, but nevertheless. So a great introduction for the new Doctor, and sets up the whole premise of the series now, that he is a part of UNIT and working for the Brigadier, and they will lock horns over what to do as they go forward, far more than we saw with the second Doctor. And so it's all set up here. He's got his new companion. His TARDIS doesn't work, but give it time. It'll get there. All right, welcome aboard, Third Doctor. We'll continue next time when they introduce the Silurians. Yes. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Yes, that's right, you.